One big difference caused, of course, by the World Cup with this group stage that will come up, whoever gets there, is that all 6 rounds are going to be played off within 2 months rather than 3 odd months. That is usually the case. What sort of impact do you think that's going to have on the whole thing?
Well, it should be interesting, Tommy. Obviously, the clubs with the bigger squads and the ability to rotate and do their stuff in their domestic leagues at the same time will have an advantage. Some countries and some teams will have an advantage because their domestic leagues are not that strong. But when we see the power of the English teams in recent seasons with the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City and Chelsea all running so late into the competition, but they have their hands full with their own domestic competition. They can't afford to rotate too much until they get to match day 4 and they've got enough points already in the bag at that stage. Then maybe they can do a bit of rotation to stay in touch in terms of domestic league. But other countries where the league is more predictable and the top 2 or 3 or 4 teams are much better than the rest, they may have a little bit of an advantage this time round. The other problem clubs and teams will have is that they'll have very little chance of recovery from injuries. If important squad players get injured, the time for that recovery to the next leg or the next round will be so short that, again, that may have an impact. That's why I'm saying the depth of the squads is going to be so strong or so important. So it should be very interesting, but I would say that in the last few years, the top 2 have often been quite predictable in the groups. Once they do their stuff in the early 3 or 4 games, we saw the occasion thing where Real Madrid lost a couple of matches and they were strong enough to come back after losing the game or 2 early on. Even you look at someone like Benfica tonight, they got 8 points in the group last year, didn't look in great shape early on, got heavily beat by Bayern Munich, but were able to come back.
Turn it around
by beating Barcelona. So, but that's unusual. I think a lot of it, the seeded teams are the more likely to progress, and I still think that will be the case.
What's your thoughts, Damien? Like that point of a team that maybe you start poorly, but in normal circumstances you've got a time to turn things around. You've only got 8 weeks, so you mightn't have that time. You certainly won't have time in the training ground because the hectic schedule of games.
Well, all the points Brian made are very, very valid. One thing with a shortened time and more games that you play, it'd be very, very difficult to assess where you are because they're going to come so thick and fast. Normally, if you get off to a poor start, you have a couple of weeks. There might be a League Cup game in a week where the staff can go away, have a sit down, have a think, or rewatch games. No, they're going to come thick and fast, and it's going to be a case of if you blink, you miss it. And if you get off to a bad start, you can get caught in a tailspin very, very quickly, and it will be very, very hard to recover. But it's going to be fantastic for us. It's going to be wonderful football nearly every midweek as well as weekends in the Premier League. So it's going to be fantastic.
You're going to have to hit the ground running and get bang at it.